This is Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Hey, this is Governor Chris Christie from New Jersey. Good day, doctors.
Go! You're watching Dr. Politics.
It is August 30th, Friday night, the last Friday of the summer. Summer has come and gone a little too quickly for my taste. I think it seems this flew by, but then again, I think as we get older, the days go by a lot faster than they used to when we were like kids in grade school. I am back from a European excursion, and it's good to be back.
Mm.
And
it's good to have you back. Did you post pictures anywhere yet?
No, I haven't done that. I didn't take my phone. I took my big camera, so I just have to get stuff out. I'm still catching up. I'm still jet lagged. I shouldn't be. It's like 2 weeks now. It'll be 2 weeks Sunday. Yeah, it'll be a week Sunday. I'm sorry, but still.
It's too bad they still don't have the Concorde, or the Concorde's gone. That would have been great.
It's gone. That would have been great.
That would have been really cool. I never got to do that.
Phil Collins will never be able to do a concert in London and Philadelphia the evening anymore like he did on Live Aid.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's really great.
And I remember when they were doing Live Aid, they said, no, we're going to do this every single year. I think they still do it. It's just not as hyped as it used to be. I mean, they still do Farm Aid, I think.
Yeah.
Or did that die when Willie Nelson died?
Willie Nelson's dead? I didn't know he died.
I don't know. I thought he was.
Oh, he's still alive.
He's still alive.
Okay.
Willie was a legend. If he died, that we would know. He was a legend.
He's like one of those people like Dick Van Dyke is still alive, and he's like, well, he's got to be 100.
Bob Newhart just passed away. I think he was getting close to 100.
I thought he had already died.
Bob Newhart, just did. Yeah, that's recently.
Yeah, but I thought he had passed away like several years ago.
No, he lasted, and I think he outlived most. Not to interrupt you, but I think he outlived most everyone else on the show. I guess, right? Jerry, the guy who played Jerry, may still be alive.
No, I think his what do you call
Suzanne Plachette? I don't think she's still with us.
I think she died.
Yeah, I think
Suzanne. No,
Plachette
but Julia Duffy is still with us. I think.
Yeah, I was thinking of the first show. I agree with you. Yeah, but I was thinking of the 70s.
The one with Roger Healy's.
Yes, that's right.
Recently too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a great show. That was one of the best shows.
He had another sitcom with Connie Stevens. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Where she was married to she was basically divorced from him and divorced from the mob.
Okay.
So it's what did I miss while I was gone? I know we had a convention. Crazily Kamala. I tried to not pay attention to anything that was going on. I really wanted this to be a true vacation, so I really
that's true. Yeah, don't.
But I did read the stuff follow-ups on the day after. But I mean, seriously, that convention, I think, from what I read, was the most. It was not that well put together. I mean, Democrats are pretty good at this sort of stuff, putting conventions together. I mean, what was she doing coming out on the first day of the convention? Why? She's breaking with tradition. It's almost like, seeing the brides.
Yeah, I mean, but that was part of that whole thing about, with Joe Biden passing the torch to her. So she was there for that. And then she left to go out a campaign.
Joe got to pass the torch with America after America went to bed at 11:30, I believe is when he went on. And I'm seriously. Like you could not stick him on at 8 o'clock. He's already past his bedtime at that point.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Yeah.
We think the reason was they didn't want him to go old man crazy during prime time. Maybe just have him go
Yeah.
late. Most people turn it off.
And then, he didn't even stay for the. You think he would have stayed the rest of the convention? No, he flew
Yeah.
to California for a vacation.
That's right. Yeah, so he
Now
wasn't
he's in
there with her.
Delaware. Now he's in Delaware enjoying more vacation time.
Yeah,
I
I mean, we don't really have a president. And let's face facts; he's not really doing the job.
No,
I
he
mean,
What else is doing?
we're in a weird situation. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had lame duck presidents before, but you
Yeah.
know,
He is
real-
the lamest of the lame ducks we've ever had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, he's not
What
really.
was the old Sanford
you
and
two,
Son?
you two guys that are much, that are, several years younger than I am. I think this is the, you weren't around when Johnson, abdicated, right? To be
No.
Republican. But he did that early enough in the in the cycle that there was a choice, right? We and how many times we talked about Kamala she just is able to skate in with 0 votes
Yeah.
in primaries because she didn't have to. This whole thing just came together. But
And-
I don't know. I mean, I kind of felt like Biden kind of got the shaft a little bit
Mhm.
by having them push his time off and they made all these excuses and everything like this. And then on the other hand, he leaves because he knows that it's now Kamala's, thing, and he would wind up being a distraction or whatever. So might as well. And as David said, do we really have a president at this point in time?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, he's barely functioning now. He wasn't functioning much before, but now that he knows he's only got a few more months left in essence, it's like I think he'd probably rather vacation on the beach than sit around the White House.
And he's also very bitter, is what accounts are coming out saying. He's very bitter. He's mad at the Obamas. He's mad at Pelosi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's old man crazy. It's like old man crazy mad,
Yeah.
Doesn't really make any sort of sense. But
if I were Joe and if they did this to me, I would endorse Donald Trump for president. I'd turn around and endorse Donald J. Trump.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I'll do that. But
it's not going to happen.
No.
No, it's not. But I mean, that's what I would do. But I don't think I'd be a 80-some-year-old.
You wouldn't be Joe Biden if that's the case.
No, I will not. Yeah.
This is what psychiatrists refer to as transference. So you're.
Yes. And and I know Kamala had her big, not live, but CNN said live, sit-down interview with Dana Bash last night.
Yeah.
I wasn't that impressed. There's no policies coming out of her.
Yeah.
I mean, the commercial against her writes itself. She is like John Kerry. All she needs to do is now start going sailing, windsurfing, I should say. And we could take that commercial, how she flip-flopped from she was against fracking, now she's for fracking. She was against LNG, now she's for LNG.
Yeah.
She was against coal, now she's for coal. Maybe she read a study about clean coal, and that's what switched her over. That is one thing the left truly misses the point on the fact that there is such thing called clean coal technology.
Yeah.
Don, you've flown into California since back in the 90s when you see yourself flying into the smog, right? Back in the 90s, you think you're flying into a storm cloud, it's just all the smog. Now, if you fly into LA, you don't see all that smog anymore. We have really done a good job cleaning up the environment over the last 20-some years, thanks to people like President Bush 43 and President Reagan and President Nixon, who established the EPA. She, doesn't seem to understand that. She is also now for a border wall, opposed to before she was against the border wall. I'm waiting for the the Kamala MAGA shirts, Make America Great Again shirts with Kamala Harris for president,
Yeah, there's a radio program that airs every night nationwide. I think
Coast to Coast AM?
8 to 5 a.m. The Red Eye Radio people.
Oh, yeah. That used to be the Midnight Trucker Show, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so they call that whole all of that Kamaga,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
that's
right.
about right.
Yeah, right.
which I
I
think
may have to get my I may have to get my graphics out and create a MAGA combo sign or something.
The other thing I hear is that she's not saying why she changed any of her positions, and she's not even
Well,
saying that she did. It
I
was just
understand the debate that she's cramming for next Tuesday. Is it Tuesday or Thursday next week? The debate's Tuesday, I think, right? Or the week after. No, we got a week still.
yeah, it's not till the 10th, so it's
Yeah.
like a week from Tuesday.
Yeah. So, but I think but I think the debate's going to go like this. President Trump's going to say something. She goes, "Well, I'm for that too. Me too." That's going to be her line. It's just going to be "Me too."
yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to address is I think there's a group of people that are being left out on this whole. You know how President Trump does not want to tax tip income, right? Now Kamala agrees with President Trump, wants to do the same thing, but they're overlooking people who get year-end bonuses that are taxed. Like when I worked for ACU, we get I think we get anywhere between $2,500 to $3,500 as a Christmas bonus, but it'd be taxed, so we wouldn't get $3,500. It'd be all taxed out. Why is it that my Christmas bonus would have, if tip workers would probably make about $3,500 a year or more in tips? If they can earn all that money without taxes, why does my Christmas bonus have to be taxed?
You know, that whole proposal is
Mhm.
garbage to begin with. That would create just an unequal problem within the economy. You would then find companies looking to to make payments into tips instead of regular income. And it would just kind of the whole system would get all messed up. This is a terrible idea. Kamala, they're both pandering. This is part of my problem right now, even with Trump, is that he is pandering to try to figure out where they can find votes. Let's talk about good policy, good conservative policies, and don't go all lefty crazy stuff just to say if you can't sop up and try to steal some Democrat votes. This is the wrong way to do things. And the no tax on tips, it's not going to go anywhere anyway, no matter who wins the election. Because Congress, even if Democrats wind up with control of Congress, I mean, I think even they know that this is a horrible policy, and it would just economically it would just wreck everything. So,
Yeah.
We don't go there. I mean, as far as your Christmas bonus being taxed, I mean, look, I mean, it's income. I know it's a bonus, but Wall Street gets bonuses every December. That's why the brokers hang around till December. They wait till they collect their bonus in December or January or whatever, and then they decide whether or not they want to stay or take a more lucrative deal with another company.
Mhm.
So we have a tax system. We may not like it, we may not approve of it, but it is there. We have to live with it. But you don't go and throw in some kooky idea where only tipped workers wind up not paying taxes on their tips. So it's like, no, this doesn't fly. This is not going to work.
It's and they always, and everyone talks about fairness. It's utterly unfair to the people that work hard. Just because we don't bust tables or our bellhops or whatever doesn't mean we don't work any less hard than they don't work any harder than we do. Frankly, we put in 40 hours plus a week. A lot of these people are not even putting in full 40 hours. They're like 20 hours, 30 hours. Maybe 40 hours. But I mean, a lot of people. I think if you're going to do it for tips, you better damn well do it for bonuses. Frankly, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the people don't understand how a lot of these things generally work. Yeah, I mean, what Craig has said there would be that'd be fine too. That'd make things a lot easier, because I'm definitely sick and tired of the tipped economy in terms of everywhere you turn around. There's
And by the way, it has gotten
or something electronically that says, do you want to give a tip? It's like, I think they've gone overboard with that. but we have, it's been established for a long time. If you work in a restaurant and you're a server, you get paid, like 265 or whatever an hour, and they may have raised it since then, and then the rest you make up in tips.
Mhm.
And but whatever the minimum wage is for your locality, you're gonna get at least that, because the restaurant will have to make that up should your tips fall short. If you go over that amount, that's great, and
Yeah.
there are people who do, just fine on that basis. They do work their tail off, and they get good sized tips, and they make pretty decent money for that. But I mean, I don't think any of these jobs, whether or not it's a McDonald's job, whether or not it's a waitressing or job, or
Mhm.
bus job, or whatever, serving, those are never meant to be careers. Some people have made it careers. That is their choice for whatever
Mhm.
reason. But most people, that those are things like, when I was younger, it was for teenagers in high
Yeah.
school and
Yep.
college kids, and they would do it for a summer, or they might do it for a couple of summers or whatever. And then when they graduate from school, they would then go find a different kind of job, one that was in their field or close to it. The it can be a safety net if you can't find a job. I mean, there are definitely people, graduates, that have gone to that extent because they could, it was better than sitting at home
Mhm.
doing nothing if they couldn't find a job. But it's not meant to be a career. Um, and there's this, the left has made a big deal out of all this fight for 15 and all these minimum wage things, which is like, look, the market should determine what people should get paid.
Yep. I
and
mean,
and we
how is
saw.
that working out for Gavin Newsom in California?
Yeah.
California has the highest minimum wage in the country. How has that worked out for them? Restaurants are shutting down, leaving. And then the few that are sticking around are being robbed, and they're shutting down because of all the theft they're getting, like the department stores, grocery stores. I mean, I went to this happened after I got back. I went to the Kensington Safeway. They have a little sign there. You got to go to customer service to buy the Tide. And this is at the Kensington Safeway. They also did it at the old Georgetown Road Giant. You got to ask for customer service to buy Tide.
Hmm.
I guess what are they afraid Chuck Schumer's going to come there and eat the Tide Pods because he thinks it looks like candy? I mean,
Yeah, I
What
mean, well, we had
what's
a
the
lot
reason? Because of shoplifting? What's the reason?
shoplifters.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and we've seen that at CVS and Walgreens and other places around the country where they've locked up a large majority of their products
Yeah.
because of the high theft. Some of it's just even with the flash mobs, right? They come in there and they just
Hmm.
wipe the shelves clean, and then they run out, and no one's going to stop them because you don't want to confront a violent mob, and that's kind of been corporate policy. So they go the other direction. They lock things up, which hurts them because you know you have to find somebody to go unlock it, to go buy the product. If that's the
Yeah.
case, a lot of people are not going to even bother looking for that employee. It's just a pain in the rear end to go and go through that process. And you see here locally, I mean, too, Dwight, some of the giants in DC, they have that like bag policy going
Hmm.
in. You can't, people were, I guess, bringing in like roller boards and stuff like
Hmm.
that, stuffing them through full of stuff and then walking out. So now they limit what you can, what kind of things you can bring into the store to
Yeah.
try to curb theft. It's a sorry state when our country's
Yeah.
got to go through all of that.
Well, here's the thing. I actually like the idea where you can leave your bags up front. Like years ago, because like when I was in school, you go into these places, you got these heavy bags with books and stuff like that. You don't want to carry that around. So you want to just give it to people in the front. Hey, can you hold this while I go? Like it's a convenient thing. I don't mind it, frankly. I think it's great. But nowadays, I know people are going there with empty book bags and coming out with them being full.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and I kind of like self checkouts. I know a lot of people don't, but now even self checkouts, some of them have gone away because of high theft.
Mhm.
People not
Yep.
ringing up all the products and stuff like that. I'm like, look,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for taking away something that
Well,
is a major convenience for me in some stores, which are, which are basically undermanned.
yeah.
This is a great thing. I don't
Like
have.
if you go to the Giant on Rockville Pike before 9 a.m., the self checkouts are all closed. They have one checker or maybe two, three if you're really lucky. They'll have three checkers checking people out, and that is very infuriating. I think it's very the fact that Giant would hire enough people, and they don't open the self checkouts until like 9 o'clock in the morning. It
Yeah.
is really, really irritating. It's kind of like when Metro got rid of, you used to be able to pay cash to get out of Metro Garage, right? They
Yeah.
went to a swipe only. They claim, oh, I'm like, you don't trust your employees. That's why you're doing it. You think your employees are going to steal from you. Well, how about you hire better quality of employees that don't rip you off, frankly.
Yeah,
I think,
I think that all came about because they had discovered through audit that there'd been a lot of money
Yeah.
missing, right?
Mm.
But we're every day we get closer and closer to really a cashless society. I mean, I carry very little cash,
yeah.
and there's lots of places that don't accept cash anymore, right? They basically have turned to point of sale, to basically electronics, is the only way that they deal with things. That probably drives a lot of people crazy, but that's the way it's done. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I mean, this is the way our society is going. That's that. I'm trying to think of where the heck I was not recently where that's it. You just have people, carrying around portable devices, basically, taking your payments for whatever. And that's the only way that you could, that happens now.
I gotta say, I agree with Susan. She had a point about preferring humans. I generally agree with her, although I do usually do self checkout. But there are times when I wish that they had more people doing it because sometimes I think they're a little faster, especially not with me so much, but other people going through the line. And the self checkout can be kind of slow at times.
Well, I think
Also, if they have bigger
it's,
loads, I think you should go
Yeah.
through a person.
yeah, because
And
it's
then
not
the
even,
other,
look, if you need more
just
than
one
three
last
bags,
point though.
yeah.
While I think about it, with the cashless society, yeah, I don't like that. I like having the cash. I don't usually have cash on me, but I like having the cash and using the cash. I don't want to continue to put everything on a card. So, and then sometimes I like not being able to be. Not that I'm running from anything, but I like the idea that it can't be tracked, or that there's no electronic record of everything. I don't really like that. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. So now I remember what I just went through, because it was my friend of mine invited me to an Orioles game, and he's had these season tickets for, I don't know, 30 plus years or whatever it's been. So he's got four seats behind home plate. He pays about 20 grand or more a year for those seats. And he turned to me during the game and he says, he says, there's no cash accepted by the vendors, by the beer guy and whatever. It's all electronic. You use Apple Pay, use your credit card or whatever, and that's all done that way. And it also has, you mentioned the tips thing. There's the tip thing apparently is like, he was buying stuff. So, but the vendor, the guy would say, the tip is right there at the top. So you're even if you didn't want to tip that guy for selling you the beer, you almost basically forced to tip the guy
Yep.
that was selling you the beer. They built that in, and they point that out, and it's kind of like, what are you supposed to do? Go hit no tip and make him mad at you or something? Maybe he won't bring back the next beer when you want the next beer.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
get that.
right,
I get that at Starbucks. I haven't gone to McDonald's since Shamrock Shake season, but somebody tells me now there we use their kiosk. There's a thing that says, "Would you like to tip?" Who are you going to tip? The machine?
Yeah.
Because McDonald's is pretty much going all kiosks, and they got one person behind the counter that's going to
Yeah.
give you an order.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you walk into a McDonald's, it's you basically, you have a couple of, you're now down to about 2 registers, maybe 3. and there's usually not anybody there. They just kind of look around and see if somebody's lining up there, and then they pop out. But instead, it's not like the old days where you would go in and they have several registers and you have people behind them and there's lines of people. They basically they want you to go to the kiosk, or hopefully that you've used the app in advance and you come and you do that and stuff like that. But just I'm kind of like, they're getting a wage and they're paid to make your food for you. They're not really providing any personal service per se. So why are we tipping? Why are we being asked to tip all these people? It kind of drives me crazy. I mean, I see this all the time. I'm like, I just. My wife came back from a restaurant and she ordered some takeout food tonight, and she came back. She goes, "There was no. They didn't ask for a tip when I swiped the credit card." And I'm like, well, that's a first.
They've already included the gratuity in the cost.
Well, kind of like what Craig said. I mean, the thing is that when you go overseas, right? There's tip. You go to Asia and go to other places. It's basically you're not tipping bellman and things at a hotel. All of that stuff is included in the price of your room or in the price of your meal.
They come after you if you leave your money on the table as a tip. They chase you back, and this is a recent experience. They go, "You forgot some money at the table."
Yeah, and I like that because I think that just takes a lot of the pressure off. I mean, I don't have a problem if my hotel room was a few dollars extra per night, if I knew that money was going to go towards the housekeeping staff who were providing, and they were there, and if the housekeeping staff was coming to service the room every day, which does not happen anymore, because that's another COVID era thing that's happened, is that you go to a hotel, it's basically every other day, at best, or once per stay, depending if it's a short stay, so sometimes you never see the housekeeping staff if you've got a very short stay. And, I don't know. I would prefer my linens get changed, often. I just feel better about it. I like fresh linens, but it's kind of like you have.
I don't like making my bed. What am I staying at a hotel for? I can stay at my house, stay at an Airbnb if I want to make my own bed. Come on.
Right? Yeah. Seriously, it's like.
Well, I would just say, I always hit no tip. For example, there's a salad place in McLean I go to occasionally. Yes, I occasionally eat salad, and when I check out, I'll have that final screen about tip. And of course, I hit no tip because nobody really served me so much. Not like I was at a table or anything and I'm taking it out. But I will say this, from their standpoint, it probably makes sense because it's, one more final page. And you never know. They might get customers who are in a particularly happy, good mood. And, you might be super generous and you might hit 10% or whatever. So I understand they're doing it. And I don't begrudge them of that, but I never, unless I'm seated at a table and I'm dining in, I never leave a tip.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous how tipping culture has gone to an extreme, pretty much. Yeah. It's like do you want? It's like, what are we gonna? I know you tip the paper boy, but I usually give a Christmas bonus to the paper boy.
Oh yeah, I was a paper boy. I enjoyed those days, like on Christmas, because not to interrupt, but it was a wealthy sort of McLean neighborhood, and government workers, I guess, they had a lot of extra money on Christmas. And I had people standing in the driveway as I'm bringing up the paper, and they give me money. So,
I had friends that did the paper route, and they were telling me, he goes, sometimes the guy that is in charge, I guess, of the neighbor that drops them, if you give him the tips, they don't always give the tips to the paper boys.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Yeah, the regional,
But so tell me, what were your thoughts on if you got a McDonald's gift certificate as a Christmas bonus? Remember those McDonald's used to always push those McDonald's gift certificates?
I was fine with it. I'd be fine with it. I always love McDonald's. As you can see, well, the screen's not wide enough, but I like fast food. So.
Yeah, haven't you been using the app to try to get those points, David?
I do. I have the app now, and it does add up. It does add up. Like the calories, it adds up, and the pounds, it adds up.
Well, I tell you, David, you need to talk to Chris, because Chris has found a loophole in the free fries Fridays. I can get like 4 orders of fries or 6 orders of fries on free fries Fridays.
I don't.
How many?
I don't know if you can get those. It seemed to me that if I'm doing another offer, I couldn't do the free fries. But maybe
McDonald's limits you to using the offer in the app once for every like 15 minutes to an hour or something like that. There's a time limit, so you can't bunch them up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
But if you've got patience, you could basically buy one thing and then eat it and then wait enough time and then go and buy the next thing.
And Don, you know Chris as well as I do. David's met Chris. He's got the patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you can also log out. Evidently, you can log out of the app, log into the app again with a different login, and you get your free fries. You don't have to wait.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you had multiple IDs, you could probably do that. You could go ahead and just buy your food under different names.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing that stops you from doing
Yeah,
that.
I don't think those employees care that much, about that. It's like I remember. Do you remember Kevin? He used to work for AIM. He started off as an intern. He was telling us the story about when he went to Europe. Free refills just started, so people were keeping the cups so they could go back into Burger King to get a free soda. And I'm surprised people don't do that here, with the free refills. Although, I mean, can you really abuse that free refill thing? I mean, what's the max? 1 soda, 2 sodas, 3 if you're really thirsty.
Some of those free refills are going to go away in the sense of where the soda machine is still outside the counter. I think McDonald's is going to move them behind the counter over the next year. I mean,
and the iced tea, which I get is behind the counter. So that's I've never get a refill on that because I guess I could, but I have to ask for it, so I can't just go up to the machine.
Also, people feel that it's like you go to places, they give the free and then again, I don't like fast food, frankly, just because I like to. If I'm going out to eat, I want to sit down and be able to get my free refills, and stuff like brought to me at the table. I like getting like with Cheesecake Factory, their pumpernickel bread and their warm butter. Although they used to have a different type of butter, but now they just use generic butter. But it used to be a special butter.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
this is a whole nother rabbit hole.
I know, but we've got a lot of things happening. We've got you got all the protesters that were still protesting Kamala Harris and the Democrats. The basically the anti-Semitic wing of the Democrat Party, the pro-Hamas wing. That are going around. I mean, and I think Kamala. Hey, Susan remembers the Washington Star.
I remember the Washington Star. I do, yeah, of course.
That was the quote conservative paper in DC.
Yeah, remember it was the evening paper. Yeah, it wasn't the morning paper.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that delivered it when I was a little boy. He was older than me. I was too young to deliver papers, but he delivered it and it would be in the afternoon. I worked for the Post eventually as a paper boy, and that was a morning paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so you had to get up 4 a.m. to get because they're supposed to get at the houses by 7 a.m.
It was early. I don't remember what time, but yeah, it was early.
Yeah. But I mean, you've got these protests. I think that's going to be her Achilles heel. I think what's going to happen is that's what's going to cost her a lot of these elections. She hasn't taken a firm position one way or the other. And the fact that that's going to cause, I think, her to lose re-election, frankly. Election, I should say. And also, like, her insane policies are also basically insane. I mean, she's, how can she, I mean, she's on the record saying how every idea President Trump's had is kooky and loony and so on, right? And now, now she has adopted every one of her quote crazy, fringy Republican values.
Yeah, even up to the wall, even close to a border wall, which is
I know
because she doesn't. I doubt Dana Bash would ask her an potentially embarrassing question, but she doesn't explain why she changes any of these positions. A staffer, I guess, announces it. So
Yeah, but
Well,
the thing
now
about
he's
that,
Trump
what's
wants
the
to-
reason?
yeah, I mean, she didn't change. You know, she her answer really was, it's like, you know, my values haven't changed, right?
Yeah, yeah,
She's trying to change the terminology and the whole thing. It's like
yeah.
that we Dana Bash want to know why your position on fracking had changed, why your position on these issues had changed, and she comes up with this values thing, and it's like that doesn't add up at all. I mean,
Yeah.
you so
And
she's out there with these issues that, you know, are going, they're not going to stand up. I mean, but the problem too is that I think Trump, the more he tries to go after some of these other votes by kind of changing who he was, I think that hurts him. I mean, this thing, you know, this
taxpayer funded IVF.
when he made this announcement with IVF, I'm like, are you got to be kidding me? It's like, and who's paying for this? You know, he didn't really see, he really wasn't sure. Insurance companies or the government for IVF? Look, I understand, you know, we've got a lot of people who've undergone IVF. I don't have a personal problem with that, though. I know some conservatives have a lot of issues with IVF, but this is not that. This is socialized medicine. When you're starting to talk about the government paying for all this stuff, it's like, what's next? This is a Kamala Harris position type of thing.
Well, she's going to have that position tomorrow morning. She's going to announce that she's for taxpayer funded IVF treatments also.
Yeah, but so it's like, who is Donald Trump? I mean, even on the abortion, you know, issue, you know, in Florida and in the 6 weeks, he's waffling on that. He's looking for votes. He's looking to find a way with votes because abortion is a problem, you know, problematic issue for the Republicans. This has become, ever since Roe v. Wade basically was struck down, the Republicans have not found an effective strategy to find a way to win elections in tough areas, you know, on that issue. The liberals have got them, you know, right now, and they're using that. And Harris, the abortion issue is a strength for Harris. She's been talking about that for a while. That's something she actually speaks about, that she knows something about, type of thing like that. You know, but force her back on the economy. Yeah, force her back on the fracking. Yeah. Focus on the issues.
And she talks about how day one she's going to do this. I mean, you're the vice president right now. Why can't you do some of these things right now?
Yeah, well, or over 4 years.
She says, you know, she's like, we want to turn the page from Donald Trump. It's like, wait a minute, you know, first of all, turning the page really to me signifies turning the page of what's in effect now, right? And you move on to something different. It's like, except that the problem is that you're part of the problem. You're trying to say we want to turn the page from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not the president of the United States. Joe Biden is the president of the United States. You're his vice president. Turning the page to me would say turn the page and elect a Republican. You know, if Trump was in office, yeah, turn the page and elect a Democrat. But you don't say turn the page when you're in office.
Yeah.
And here's a question I've got for you guys. You know, we know Joe is a little senile and so on, right? We know he's not playing with a full deck. But what I'd really like to, did Donald Trump go into the White House and veto the recent border bill that was passed, quote, bipartisanly? I believe the president was Joe Biden who vetoed. It wasn't President Trump. But you listen to her, you go, "Oh, Trump killed the bill." How did he do that?
She's blaming the Republicans for that, but that's really not the truth of the matter.
No, it's not. It's so far from the truth.
But it's just they're just she's trying to throw up this cloud here and trying to confuse people about all of this. Yeah, I mean, and that's been a long-term question, I think, Craig, too, right? It's like, you know, how do you reconcile if you're so pro-choice? It's like, then, you know, what about yourself? You're here on this earth at this point in time. You know, if your mother had been pro-choice, you would not, you know, not likely be here. So it's always a good question, but I don't know what the left says on this because I don't sit around with them a little bit. Yeah, you know, but I'm sure the
left right now is still vilifying Donald Trump as the Hitler. I mean, and I'm still seeing things. We're over a month from the assassination attempt where they're like, "Damn, she missed," And then when people say, "Hey, how can you say that murdering of a United States president?" They go, "Well, if you could kill Hitler, wouldn't there?" And by the way, the paradox would be if say, there, and this is by our friend George Norrie, like somebody said, what if you go in a time machine, go back and kill Hitler as a baby? And the guy, he goes, the paradox would be you might even have an even worse Hitler because the stuff that's set to happen is set to happen in stone. But, you get that whole, you can't kill somebody. And when you keep calling them Hitler, when you call MAGA supporters neo-Nazis, you do that. You are basically opening the door to allow them to saying it's okay if you burn down a Trump sign, and if you happen to burn the house down by accident, you're only going to burn out some Republicans from their homes. There, you are people are not willing to put like in states like that. People who live in Montgomery County who support President Trump are not willing to put up a Trump sign because they're afraid of having their windows smashed, signs burned, house egged, and all sorts of stuff. It is very, very disturbing, and nobody on the left has condemned any of these acts of violence against people on the right.
Well, because they're not liberals, they're the left. They're very intolerant. And it was the old liberal view, and they're not really liberal, but the old liberal view was, I'll defend I may violently disagree with everything you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it.
That's
the
exactly
left
what,
today
yeah.
are progressives, they're commies.
Yeah. I mean, the guy from Saturday Night Live, I'm trying to think of his name. He was in the movie The Son-in-Law, hilariously funny movie. But he basically said that exact same thing. He goes, free speech means not protecting the speech you like, but the speech you disagree with. You still have to defend that, And
absolutely.
I don't like hearing Joe Biden open his mouth and say some stupid stuff that comes out of his mouth, or Kamala Harris or AOC, but I am not telling people to go firebomb her offices like the left is telling, do this, do that,
Well, I once knew this girl. She's of the millennial generation, and I don't think they really understand free speech or even the concept. For example, the argument was she had been a little more enlightened and said, "I believe in free speech, but if you say something, you should take the consequences," which meant getting beaten up. But you see, that wouldn't be free speech because if you say I have free speech, but then I'll stab you, you have free speech. But then if you say something I don't like, I'll stab you in the chest. Well, then you don't really have free speech.
No, and it's the intimidation. You've got, all sorts of silliness happening. You've got things like, you can, the left. I remember when President Bush was president, I see kids getting off the school bus with a shirt with a bullet through George W. Bush's head or Uncle Sam's head. And the shirt would say, "He's not my F." If it was Uncle Sam, "He's not my effing uncle." But it wouldn't say F, and it'd say something completely, Or they'd have, a bullet through President Bush's head saying "#1 terrorist." It's like that was tolerated by MCPS. But if somebody came to school with a shirt with Obama with a bullet through his head, the kid would be asked to go home. They'd probably bring the parents in and call in Child Protective Services saying these parents are turning this kid into a Republican. And that is the real, that is the bottom line. This is all stems from, I don't know if this is from the fact that I was listening to American Experience podcast, taxpayer funded podcast that PBS puts on. They did a thing on Nixon and the Mad Men, right? And it's funny how even they were talking about the moratorium movement, and they go, it was mostly. I go, yeah, that's like every Democrat protest is always quote mostly peaceful. They're talking about mostly peaceful when they are burning police cars and stuff like that. And that is real. I mean, people. I remember back in the days, Don, when I worked for you. I could when I take the metro daily, I'd see people with Dole pins. I'd see people with Clinton pins, I'd see people with Ross Perot pins. I even saw somebody with a Lyndon LaRouche pin. But riding the trains, back then you could do that. You can't do that today. I mean, and this all changed, I think, with the election of George W. Bush. That is when the left got this even more vitriolic and hateful of the right, frankly. It was the Bush v. Gore election of 2000, where they're still being election deniers saying that Gore won, even though we all know President Bush won. But why are they not being brought up on charges for being election deniers?
Well, and Benny Thompson, and there's several Democrats, this was before the assassination attempt, but wanted to strip Trump of Secret Service protection.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because they probably figured, and they had, you had to figure that he's one of the most threatened people on earth. Mm-hmm. And Benny Thompson didn't realize that. He just doesn't care.
And here's the little secret.
I think the division also got exasperated or stretched under Obama. Probably one of the most divisive presidents we ever had.
Yeah, but everybody loved Obama. Nobody, I know.
Well, not everybody. The media loved him.
No, but I mean, here's the thing. Everybody was talking about how
I don't know those.
Obama got so many death threats, right? Actually, the little secret: President Trump had more death threats against him than Barack Hussein Obama.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I'm sure President Nixon had more death threats against him than Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, George W. Bush was constantly threatened. You had Europeans saying, "Oh, we're going to arrest him if he ever lands anywhere in Europe and take him to The Hague and try him for war crimes." They said that about Dick Cheney, and it's like their rhetoric is a lot more vile than it used to be.
Oh, right? Yeah. Well, I guess they're the most intolerant bunch I ever met, or from the left, not from the right.
Yeah. And they want to keep it.
Yeah, I agree with David, because I think we talked about this before, just that Obama came into office as saying that he was going to kind of bring both sides together and everything like this, and by the time he left office, we were further apart than we ever had been, and it has only grown. It's only gotten worse since then, and so we are a very divided country. What you see is a result of the seeds that were sown by Barack Obama, now taking root and being just fed by the left. I mean, thank you to the Squad, thank you to Bernie Sanders, these people who just continue to foment this thing. When we had that direct line discussion the other night, Dwight, about anti-Semitism, this is all the left is in full force on that. We see the campus protests that are starting to come back. Administration.
Cornell University just the other day.
Yeah.
University of Maryland, they're doing that on October 8th or something like that. They're going to have a mass protest at the University of Maryland, which is insane.
Well, and the very rhetoric of the from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, is anti-Semitic. It's basically free of what? Free of Jews, and that was the whole point, to wipe out Israel. So I saw that the other day. I saw a Palestinian flag on a car, and it didn't say to the river to the sea, but they talk about free Palestine, and that means the eradication of Jews is basically what that means. So it is inherently anti-Semitic. And remember, in the case of Obama and the Trayvon Martin case,
October 7th is when they want to come. So we should go to the University of Maryland.
The 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, they're going to come to protest Israel on October 7th of all days. I really want to go with a camera and record, get some of these people on record for saying what they're saying. I might have to do that. It's been a while since I've done this, might have to do that. It might be fun to do. David, maybe you should come too, and you can get an article out of it.
Yeah, that's true. Sell my book to the Palestinian sympathizers.
Yeah.
I remember Obama, speaking of divisiveness, remember in the case of the Trayvon Martin case, where Martin tragically attacked a guy with a weapon of a gun. I mean, that's a tragedy, of course, but it wasn't, race had nothing to do with it. But Obama says, if I had a son, he looked like Trayvon. Well, what does that have to do with anything?
She's out. I put up a picture of him. As if my country had a dictator, he'd look like this, and that was Obama's
yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he and
yeah.
Big Mike didn't have any sons, apparently. So,
No.
Yeah, I like the way you put that.
not to sound conspiratorial, but someone told me the other day that he doesn't think that Obama's kids look anything like him. And was there any? I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Look, those things have been going on for years, though, right?
Yeah.
Chelsea
Clinton,
That's
Webb Hubbard's love.
right? Amy Carter,
That's
even
right.
to a certain extent.
But I saw
mean-
Chelsea the other day and on TV, and actually, yes, she does. Sadly, does look a lot like her father.
Well,
And,
to quote Sylvia Fine, I hope she's to quote Sylvia Fine from The Nanny, one of the greatest shows ever. Chunky runs in that.
Well, the theory was always it was Webb Hubbell's kid,
Yeah,
Right.
but
well,
that was debunked. But
there was also a rumor that she was having an affair with Vince Foster too.
yeah, I think so. I used to work in a movie theater in Tyson's Corner, and you know who I would see a lot? Chuck Robb's wife, who was the daughter of Lyndon Johnson. And
Yes.
I talked to her. She's a very nice lady, but sadly, she does strongly resemble her father. So you can see that in that face. So, but
That's a name I haven't heard for a long time.
yeah,
Yeah.
Linda Bird. Yeah,
Well,
she looked like
lady,
that. She had LBJ sort of nose and profile. If you see her on the side, it's like, oh my god, she looks like
It's like-
LBJ.
it's like that episode of Different Strokes where Conrad Bain and Daniel Plato played their Dutch cousins, and you had Conrad Bain dressed as a woman and Daniel Plato dressed as a boy, which I thought was hilarious. But then again, in this crazy mixed up Lola type of world, as the Kinks would say, who knows these days, you know?
Yeah,
It's like I had a history teacher that used to say that Queen Elizabeth, the first one,
yeah.
she never got married. She wore a lot of makeup, and they're saying it's the story of the Prince and the Pauper, how she traded places with a boy, and that's why he never got married, and he had when she died, they said he was saying how she died with like several inches of makeup on her face,
Mm.
and so.
Well, do you think the Prince Harry thing will ever be a finalized in terms of rumors, or is it just an open secret? Everyone thinks
It's just,
Charles.
I think Prince Harry just wants to find a way to make money off of it, starting these rumors, and he'll probably do remember when Geraldo Rivera opened up the vault on the Titanic, or was it Al Capone's safe, one or the other, or did he do both? He had a prime time special about the Titanic and Al Capone's vault,
I remember the Al Capone's vault.
and there was nothing in there.
No, I remember that, and it was a big nothing. But the thing with, and I've said this probably before on the show, that it starts to make a lot of sense for me that Diana was very upset, unhappy with the family, and that may have been her little sort of secret on him. Screw you, I'll get pregnant by another guy, and add him into the family line. So I think that's possible that was what she was thinking. That's what was done. It was like her secret to the world, but it's kind of an obvious sort of secret.
Well, come on, we got to have that Simpsons prophecy take place of Bloody Harry. There's a Simpsons episode where they go into the future and they mention something and they go, "Oh, you mean Bloody Harry?" Prince Harry became the king, and he was basically like Bloody Mary, but Bloody Harry.
Oh, okay. No,
And we are getting close to final thoughts. Now Dave has to leave at 8, so I guess we got to do one real quick topic, or we could just start final thoughts and just linger the final thoughts a little bit.
Good.
So, David, final thoughts. You go. You first.
Well, I don't usually watch the nature programs, but I saw this show on. It's a wild cat called an ocelot. It's about twice the size of a house cat, domestic cat, house cat. They're beautiful animals, but it was thought that they were extinct. And apparently in Arizona, they found one. And in Texas, they have a bunch of them that they found. And they're beautiful cats, but you can see they have the cameras hidden in the night, and you can see the ocelots. And it was a really interesting show. They had the scene where they found kittens, and then there were kittens, and so they know that the species will continue. So,
You sure these aren't chupacabras?
so I think that's good to keep them going. And I'll be in Maryland a couple times in September, and I'll give you those
Oh,
dates.
great. Let us know when you're going to be here.
Yeah, so I'll be in Maryland, in Southern Maryland, and then also Montgomery County later. So,
Oh, where are you going in Montgomery County?
I'll get you the info on that one, but I think
Okay.
it's in Montgomery County. So, all right, but that's about it. So, keeping busy, and hopefully we'll have a good debate in a couple weeks.
I really want to know what Linda Moulton Howe thinks of these extinct cats that are showing up. I think they're really chupacabras.
Ocelots are beautiful, though. They're. It's like not to interrupt, but it's like a leopard with the same sort of coloring, but yet not too much bigger than a bobcat, I guess.
Don't they say that's got the size of a chupacabra, Don?
That's right.
Okay. Any other thoughts, Dave?
Oh no, that's it.
Don, final thoughts.
All right. I'll try to keep it brief too. So our great governor here, Wes Moore, is entangled in a little bit of a stolen valor or lying, whatever you want to call it, about a Bronze Star that he supposedly said he received, but he never did receive it. He's supposed to be one of the rising stars of the Democratic Party, but has been caught in this mess.
You sure John Kerry didn't throw his Bronze Star over the White House wall like he did with his purple?
Yeah, he's been caught in this mess. If you also this kind of relates even to that whole Tim Walz thing. When asked about that, right? Because what Walz's excuse about the weapons of war when he never went into combat was that his wife told him that sometimes his grammar is not correct. That's the way you explain that. My grammar's not correct, but I gave everybody the impression that I carried, weapons of war, and I actually saw combat. No, that's not.
Wasn't he an English teacher?
I got caught up in the moment, and this is what I was trying to explain to the students. No,
he was an assistant coach. He claimed to be a head coach.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, it's running rampant amongst Democrats. You got the Democrat running in CD7 in Virginia, the old Frank Wolf seat, I believe that is. And the Democrat says he's a retired colonel when he's not really a retired colonel.
Yeah.
All right, just one more thing, because we mentioned the debate earlier. So we've got a debate coming up on September 10th. The Harris team wanted rules of open mic, unlike the mic being shut off when you're not speaking. The Trump team wants to keep it that way, though. Trump always tends to sabotage his own people when he says, "Oh, I'm fine with that," or whatever. I'd be fine with that. The reason the Harris team wants an open mic is because they know what will happen with Trump, right?
Yeah.
It worked very well for him with the Biden debate. Biden destroyed himself completely. Trump just had to sit there. If Trump knows he can't, there's no microphone going on there, he doesn't have his audience, he behaves so much better, and that's to his advantage.
Yeah.
And considering how close the polls are at this point in time, you got to do that. Don't kind of say like, yeah, I'd be willing to have the mic on during that time. So hopefully, I don't know I don't know if they actually agreed to the final rules or not, and I guess we'll have to wait as time goes up here a little bit closer. But if they do indeed have the debate, Mike shut off the similar rules that they had the last time around are a big benefit to Trump, and they can hopefully they can get good pointed questions on Harris and watch her do her word salad thing.
Is Tim Walz going to be with her at the debate, standing next to her?
Holding her hand.
Ugh, amazing. All right, back to you, Dwight.
Okay, final thoughts. This is real quick. I'm going to go with the coolest one of all to start with. It's been about almost 10 years, and we're finally getting uh, the release of one of the greatest games ever made, invented in the great state of Maryland. Civilization 7 is being released next February. This is an awesome game. When I think I got carpal tunnel from playing this game when I was at Maryland. I have skipped classes to finish the original Civilization, and I've been keeping up with all the games. I've played 6. I've defeated 6. I am so glad that we have a Civ 7 coming out. This is the greatest game of an entire generation. This was the game for us Gen Xers, frankly. We loved playing Civilization on the computers. That and then Doom was the other one. But I liked Civilization because there was more strategy involved, more, you could build military units, you could nuke France, and there'd be no real consequences and stuff like that. And also want to do another shout out to Sammy Marco's Trains channel on YouTube. Check him out, Sammy Marco on YouTube. And Trains Are Awesome is the other one. That's one done by a guy. He just moved to DC, but he's been doing this for a while. He's a big train enthusiast and so on. But he does good stuff. He makes sense. I don't think he's with us politically on any of the stuff, but it's a good channel. It's entertaining. If you're interested in railroads and model railroading in general, that's a great one. And on dwebtar.com, I've got this whole new section called the historical what ifs of what if would happen. I'm working on my next one, which is what would happen if Chiang Kai-shek won the Chinese Civil War and Mao Zedong had to go to do his flight to Formosa. But fun stuff. Check it out. I got a lot of new things happening on dwebtar.com. Check it out. And coming soon, we're about to drop the Dr. Politics website. No more will just redirect you to the YouTube page. But yeah, there's a website for that coming and a brand new opening coming probably next Friday. And that's it. Good night, everyone.